Roll call. Chair G. Wade Wooten,
Present.
Mr. Charles Brown, Mr. Hunter Thomas.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Okay, just bear with. So I'm just looking at the agenda really quickly. Okay, so with regard to the new business, well, actually old business, there's none. New business, turn to the minutes from last meeting dated February 23rd of the Finance and Investment Committee. There's a copy attached for review. I'm taking a look at it myself. I do have a question. Have the chair, has the chair changed the committee assignments, or they're just, it's pending review? I'm just trying to make sure that we're operating consistent with what the chair's designations are as far as appointments.
Yeah, I didn't change any committee assignments. I think the finance committee stays the same, as well as the programs committee.
Okay, fair enough. It just got me thinking about quorum, and I was wondering if we if it had been changed, do we have a quorum? Okay, great, thank you. So if everybody, I guess, could take a look at the minutes from last meeting. It's pretty short. There was really nothing voted upon, no resolutions. Well, yeah, nothing voted upon, no recommendations. I guess that said, is there a motion to approve the February 23rd, 2021 minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? Actually, I think I might.
Yeah, I think that'd have to be.
Exactly, yes, I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against it? Okay, passes unanimously. Rolling to the, let's see. Sorry, I got. Oh yeah, so now we roll to the market update. Myron, would you like to take over?
Sure. Good afternoon again, committee members. Before we go to the market update, I did want to update us. There was an update for the audit on the agenda as well. So I'll provide a quick update on that, and then we can move into the market update. We started planning for the audit engagement for the 2020 fiscal year audit. We've had our pre-audit meeting with PNN to just kind of plan and just discuss any significant changes over the prior year, and just to get organized as we plan for the engagement. So that particular engagement is expected to start on May 3rd. And we do expect to issue our financials no later than June 30th. It is a very tight window, but the reason behind that is because the legislative auditor has suspended the statewide agreed upon procedures this year. So that requirement is not required. And so given that, the auditors expect this year's engagement to just to flow faster and smoother without having to go through those items that's normally required in that statewide agreed upon procedure requirement. So I'll provide updates as the engagement gets started and going, and just make you aware of any issues and concerns that may arise through that audit engagement. Any questions there? All right. There's none. I will move to the market update. So the Fed met last week, and they presented, typically they meet 8 times out of the year, and 4 times out of that year, they'll send out or put out some projections on where they think interest rates will go in the short, medium, and long term. And so the market was really tuned into this particular meeting with the projections, because there's been a lot that changed from the December meeting that was very significant, of course. So we've seen the $1.9 trillion stimulus. There's been positive news on the COVID front. And there's been a lot of rapid deployment of vaccines. And then now there's news out that the Biden administration is drawing up their next big proposal, which is a $3 trillion plan that will center on roads, bridges, infrastructure, and just climate change initiatives. So, some of the highlights that came out of the meeting were that they dialed up the economic growth expectations, but they still signaled that there's no expected interest rate hikes, at least for 2 years. They expect real GDP to grow 6.5% this year. That's compared to the 4.2 forecast from the December meeting. And then they estimate unemployment to fall to 4.5 this year, which is below where they were at the last meeting, which was 5%. And then now with the heightened expectations in the market, they do see inflation running at about 2.4 this year, which is above 1.8 where they were before. So these developments have fueled a lot of optimism in the market. And so we're starting to see interest rates rise in the bond market. We've seen the 10-year treasury rise for 8 weeks straight. We've seen muni yields have started to increase. They had a few weeks where they were running lower, but they've since turned around, and they're actually outpacing treasury yields. So that's leading to higher muni treasury ratios, which is the valuation of munis. And then we're seeing mortgage rates actually increasing, and because they typically track the 10-year yield. But overall, in mortgage land is still historically low and still favorable, but they have been tracking up. In terms of economic data, the data that came out from February was they had some significant impacts from the weather-related events that occurred. So those numbers were a little hampered there. There's been talk of green bonds in the news because they reached $54 billion in cumulative issuance in 2020. So there's a lot of momentum there. It was driven by lower rates, driven by just the interest in green overall. And we're seeing over the past couple of years, 300 municipal issuers in 43 states have issued at least one green label bond. And then on a local front, Orleans Parish unemployment, the most recent data, which is the January data, shows an increase to 9.1% from January, where it was 8.7, and that's up from 4.7 in January of last year. So still relatively high, of course. And then finally, the city, as you all are probably aware, is expected to receive this $378 million in stimulus. And the mayor has issued an executive order to put together a task force to determine how to spend the funds. So there's supposed to be more details on the recovery plans coming out in the next few days, but we're staying involved in the conversations and staying abreast of that information. Any questions on a market update, comments? All right. Hearing none, I will move to the financial status report. So this report is as of January. And just a note, we've been working to improve the close process. So in the second quarter, my goal is to get you timely financials, so that in the month prior, instead of having a month lag. So that's something that you can look out for in the second quarter. So we'll have more recent, timely financials to be able to make more prudent decisions there. But this is January's financials. You'll see revenues were 30,000, actual to a budget of 33,000. On the expense side, we were favorable. expenses came in at 130,000 to a budget of 190,000. Move to the next page. This provides some insight into our revenue components, of course. So we were almost right on target in single family. Multifamily was slightly short of budget. We did have one pilot close, and that's just the result of the closing fee, which is based on the construction value. It was just lower than what the average budgeted construction value per deal that I put in. We had a miss on the investment income. That's just strictly driven by just the interest rates being paid on the accounts and just the lower interest rate environment in general. And then we had some favorability in the other income line. Next page. This shows our expense components, which are favorable across the board, with the exception of taxes and insurance, which is more timing. But overall, there's favorability across the board there. Next page. This is already provided. There's no historicals here. Generally, we look at the historicals, but this is the first month of the year. Nothing really to point out. It has already been pointed out, actually. Next page. This is our pathways portfolio, no activity. And on the revenue side, we did have some expenses, $4,000 there. Next page, please. Composition of the balance sheet remains pretty stable given the minimal activity. Next page. All right, this provides a look at our cash position. At the end of January, we're at 10.7. The prior month, we're at 10.8. So there was net expenses of about 89,000 that drove down the cash position, but fairly stable month over month. Any questions? All right. Well, that concludes my report.
Hey, Byron and Wade, I just got off the line with Mr. Brown. I told him to log off and log back in. He was trying to raise some questions, but he wasn't able to get through for some reason. So he's going to try to call back in, but he did have some questions about the report.
Okay.
Looking at the agenda, I mean, that's really the entirety of the agenda items, correct?
That's it.
We see you, Chuck.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with his line, but
Yeah.
Perhaps we can take some of his questions during the 4 o'clock board meeting.
Yeah.
We cover the finance committee report.
Damon, I've got an emergency call. It's going to at least run. They overlap. So I guess my point is, once I get off that call, I'll call in to patch into the board meeting. I apologize.
I understand. No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that said, do you recommend that we adjourn?
Yeah, we can adjourn and,
Okay.
like I said, address Mr. Brown's questions at the board meeting, if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we can wait and try to figure out his line.
I mean,
Excuse me.
the committee only can make recommendations and reports. It has the decision-making authority. So, it's fine with me.
Sure.
Okay. That said,
Well, it looks like we got him back.
no.
Mr. Brown, can you hear us?
Looks like he may be trying to connect now.
You might need to push that call over internet button, Mr. Brown.
All right.
There you go.
Feedback.
Wait,
You have to mute one of your lines, Mr. Brown.
now I'm going to turn off. Now I'm going to turn off my computer and see if that helps.
Much better.
Can you commute though? Communicate though?
Now
Okay.
you got on mute.
Mr. Brown, can you hear us?
I can see you very clearly on my computer, and I've got my phone in my hand.
All right, you have to, Mr. Brown, in order for us to hear you, because we're getting feedback, you need to
Yes.
close down either one of the applications. So I think your phone is working, so close down
Okay.
your computer.
All
And
right,
just
let me
talk
see
to
if
us
I
from
can
the
close
phone.
down. Let me see if I can close down my I don't know which one is operating. That's why I'm
Turn off the phone.
okay. I'll turn the phone off. Here we go.
All right. So Wade, we can help Mr. Brown get better situated for the board meeting.
Yeah, that makes sense. So 'cause it's to avoid it being totally disrupted. Okay. That said, then I think that this meeting is closed.
Move to adjourn.
Yes. Second.
Okay, meeting adjourned. See y'all in a minute.
All right, thank you.
Okay, everybody. Bye.